Well folks, you might be wondering why I'm sat backwards on my seat box facing away from the lake. The reason is I'm doing a spot of margin fishing. Now, I've had a brilliant year down the edge this year. I think I've probably learnt more about this style of fishing in the last 12 months than I have in the whole rest of my fishing career put together. So what I wanted to do in this video is just give you a few tips on how I approach a margin like this, because it's not easy. This isn't one of those where you've got a manicured edge or a lovely concrete pallet to fish up to. It's uneven, the bottom's snaggy, there's things hanging in the water, and there's an awful lot of big carp coming in this edge, but I can promise you one thing, they are not easy to catch. So what I want to do in this film is show you a few little tips that I use to catch them. I've just fed, I can see there's a carp in on that bait as we speak, so hopefully I'll catch you one, then I'll talk you through the tackle and bait I use, tell you why I use it, and then hopefully I'll be able to show you everything in action. So there's a carp there at the minute, the flow is moving left, right and Chelsea, but you have to be patient, you have to wait for a proper bite. I've got a Fjuka fat boy on the hook, feeding some of the squeeze ready micros, and you can see this carp all the way along the bank in there because I've been fishing for a little while now. We ignore that because that's a line bite, but any second I think we'll get a fast sudden pull under, which will mean that a carp has taken our hook bait. There's a couple of little things I want to just talk to you about with regard to rigs that have really helped me distinguish line bites from proper bites this year and led to me catching a lot more fish in the mouth. But again, more on that in the video. For now, I'm just going to wait for that fast bite and hopefully catch a carp to get things rolling. It's a really tough balance. This is probably the hardest thing to get right with edge fishing, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it later, but it's that balance between being patient and waiting for a bite, and that's a bite, and that's a fish in the mouth. You saw it was a fast movement, so straight away we've steered it away from the danger area, and we're just now happy because that fish is in the mouth. I can let the elastic do the work now, so once it's out the way, I ain't rushing until that fish starts coming back towards me. But you see the importance of waiting for that bite so you know the fish is in the mouth, and that fish is coming back. Red hydro elastic, really, really good gear for this type of work. Put that down there. Unfortunately, I will have to turn around and face the water in a minute to net the fish, but it's a big fish that, it's hanging deep, hugging down near the bottom. But as long as it's under the pole tip or going out into the lake, I'm happy. What I really don't want it to do is dive underneath, which is why I've got this elastic out here so that there's a lot of resistance on and it's just steering that fish where I want it. That's a big carp. I'm not going to take any chances with that. That's a double figure fish, I think. But we've got proper gear on, it's all sensible, so we can wait until the fish is ready. There he is. We'll have him this time, I think. And he's in the net. Oh, that's probably one of the biggest fish of the session so far, if not the biggest. It's 8 or 9 pound. Funny little twisty character, but nonetheless, look where we've hooked him. And that is the marker of doing everything right, that you're hooking these big hungry carp in the mouth. So we'll slip him back, and then I'm going to talk to you about the tackle and bait I use and explain to you why I use it. One of the biggest mistakes I've made in recent years when it comes to edge fishing, I'm kicking myself just sat here thinking about it, has been using too long a hook length. And it's only this year really where I've exclusively used 4-inch hook lengths for my margin fishing for big fish. And it's made such a difference to the amount of fish I foul hook. You know, I foul hook far less than I ever used to, so 4 inches is absolutely essential. You might think like I used to, oh, you're laying some line on the bottom, so a 6-inch hook length's fine. It's not. This helps keep that hook bait pinned to the bottom. It's so important. Hook wise, it's something nice and strong. Now, I've played around with some real thick gauge hooks for margin fishing in the past, things like Guru MWGs and even some almost specimen style hooks, and I must say the problem with thick wire hooks is they go blunt easily. the points tend to go much quicker than they do on finer hooks. And I've found a brilliant compromise this year in the Guru SLWGs. I use these in a size 12 or 14. I think this is a 14 here, and that houses one of the Fjuka fat boys absolutely perfectly. Line wise, I will just touch on that. 021 power line main line to an 019 hook length, good strong gear for edge fishing. So today, I've already mentioned I'm feeding the Fjuka squeeze ready micro pellets. Micros cover me for probably 70 or 80% of my summer margin fishing. If I wasn't feeding these, or if I fed these and didn't get the response I wanted, I would try feeding some of the squeeze ready method ground bait, because ground bait can be a deadly margin bait as well. If you think too many fish are coming in your peg and you want to calm things down, feeding standard 2-in-1 can be really good, or 6 or 4 mil pellets for that matter. And if not enough fish are coming in, as I've said, that's when I'd switch to that. So that's my logic, but I'd say 80% of the time in the summer, micros are what I feed down the edge. On to hook baits now. I want something big and heavy that's going to anchor itself on the bottom, so when fish come in, if they're giving you false indications or line bites, you're not having your float moving everywhere. So a Fjuka Fat Boy, which I've got on here, is exactly that. This is 10 mil in size. I've just put one on the hook, and you can see I've left plenty of points showing. So it's a big heavy hook bait that's going to hug the bottom. I've used this today for probably 3/4 of the session. I have had to make a little change later, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But I'd say for, again, most of my summer commercial work, Fat Boys are really, really good. Another great bait I'd always have with me is sweet corn. But you tend to find if Fat Boys work, you can catch on Fat Boys or corn, because they do a similar job. They're both heavy baits that hug the bottom and let you keep that hook bait pinned down. There are times though with edge fishing where it goes a little bit iffy, a little bit strange. Now, I've already mentioned that it's really important to have a heavy hook bait. So when that happens, I want something that's heavy, but also a little bit more natural. And that's when these come in. I always carry a little worm box with me. I've got some dendras in there. I'll put 2 big dendras on the hook, and they just make a deadly change bait. Often, if you find things go strange, you can put a couple of them on and you'll just nick a fish when other things fail. Right, so we're ready to go in. The first thing I'm going to do is bait the hook. And the reason for that is, after I've fed, I want to be in the water as quick as I can. So I've baited that hook with a Fat Boy. That's all ready to go, all right? So the next thing we're going to do is pot some bait in, set the trap, and then we want to be on that trap as quick as we can. So we're just going to feed a handful of the squeeze ready micros. I love these for this sort of thing because they are nice and dense, probably more dense I'd say than a micro you can soak yourself, because of the preparation process they go through. And I've got my marker, I'm just going to pot that in nice and accurate. You can see where I'm lining up with that big leaf in the water, so they're potted in there. I know there's fish there, so I'm not going to make any noise. If at the start of the session, or if I was just setting the trap for the first time, I might also pot some water in to make a bit of noise, but I don't need to do that because I know there's fish already there. And then it's just about getting in. You shouldn't rush. You want to be on that trap as quick as you can after setting it. I use the weight of the Fat Boy to pull the rig into the bank, so that's the beauty of a heavy hook bait like a Fat Boy, as I've said, or sweet corn or paste. You can actually use it to pin your rig against the bank. So I know just by looking at that bristle that that's set right. And now I'm just waiting for a fast bite. There's no mistaking when you get one, it'll be a sudden, fast pull under. I don't think we'll be waiting long. What you need to train yourself to do though is avoid any little movements, any pulls to the side. It's not uncommon with this sort of thing to have all sorts of line bites. There's fish, you can see there's a big carp there working his way along the bank. So it's every chance in a minute there'll be some displacement in that water. And if you're not on the ball, you can easily strike at a false indication. So we're waiting for a very fast, sharp pull under. That carp's really feeding well. There we are, that's a bite, okay. Then we've got to get the fish away from all these snags. So you'll see how quickly then I turned round and we've got the fish into the lake, which is where I want it. So that fish is running away from me. Whatever it's out there, I'm happy. And whatever it's running away, I'm happy. But look, you can see it's now started coming towards me. I've got proper gear on here, so we're not going to mess about with this fish. We're going to start bringing it back towards us. And just put that pole down out the way there. That's okay. I'm going to use this puller kit because even though I'm happy this fish is out the danger zone, I know what these carp are like and it could very well try and get back in there at any point. So I'm using the puller kit to make sure I'm in total control. That fish can't really go any closer to the bank than that now. I'm ready with the net, but I'm not going to put the net in the water until I think that fish is ready, because all that happens if you start chasing fish with a landing net is they run further away from you, and I don't want it to do that. I want it to pop its head up and then I want to net it. So whatever it's plodding around like this, I'm happy. I'm not going to rush it because it's a big fish, this, I think. But there, it's coming. Next time it comes round this way, I'd like to bet its head will come up. There we are. It's a big common and it's in the net. Now, let's have a look where this fish is hooked. Because this setup, as I said, is all about, oh, that's a good fish. It's all about hooking fish in the mouth. And look where he is hooked. Right in the top lip. And that means that all this setup from the float to the bulk to the bait and the feeding is correct. So we're going to get that hook out of there. And that's probably an 8 or a 10 pound carp. I hooked really well in there. Let's just slide that out. It does feel a bit strange fishing backwards, I will say that. But look at that, that's a real lump by anyone's standard. So we'll slip that in the net and we'll get back in and get another one. So there you are, folks, that's a little insight for you into my approach to edge fishing. Now, we've had a little bit of luck here today. It's been really nice afternoons fishing. The fish have been feeding very confidently. As I said, I've got a few little things in the locker with regard to how I feed and how I fish that help me land these fish. It's not always that easy, and before I sign off, I thought I'd just give a couple of insights into when things don't go well. So say for example we're going down that edge there and not had a bite. All I'd say is never lose faith. If you sit for like any more than about 3 or 4 minutes without a bite down the edge or an indication, feed again and rest it. You might only get 15 minutes at the end of the match on that line, but when you do, you can obviously make a big difference to your final weight just by being patient and being confident. So if it doesn't go under first time, come off the line, go out and do something else and keep feeding it for later. Next thing I'd say, and this is something I do if it's sort of 10 minutes to go and I've still not had a bite and I really need a bite in the edge, make some noise. I mentioned that if no fish were coming in, I'd definitely think about potting in some water or splashing the poke upon the water if allowed, because that just basically rings the dinner bell to the fish and lets them know that, or fools them into thinking hopefully that it's the end of the session and there's free offerings down the inside. I'm actually going to put this one back because we've got enough in that keep net. So they're the two things I'd say. Be confident and be patient for as long as you can, but if you really do feel you need to push your peg, make some noise, because that's another way of fooling the carp to coming in the edge. Now, we're in late September at the moment. We've probably only got another month of edge fishing where it's going to be as solid as it has been here today. So get out and make the most of it. But as we move into winter, you can still catch fish down the edge. You might just have to come a little bit further away from the banking. Fishing up to cover is still really good. Things like platforms, trees, that kind of thing. Anything that casts a shadow over the water. But again, you might just have to fish in 3 or 4 foot of water as opposed to the 14 inches of water we've been in today. I hope that's been useful to you folks. I've really enjoyed catching a few fish from quite an awkward edge, but as you can see, there's plenty of fish there to be caught if you get the tactics right.